Maverick 100.9. You just heard the brand new single from Adam Hood and Can't Stand Leaving. It's Corliss, and I am so excited to be joined by Adam Hood again because, Adam, you and I haven't got to catch up in a while, and a lot of things have changed. But first one off the list is Can't Stand Leaving. I'd love to chat about this song, mostly because you are just one of my all-time favorite songwriters, and I got to
Thank
know
you.
where the stuff in your head comes out of.
Oh, there's terrible places. I won't let you in on some of those terrible places. That's no. So all right, with that song, I was, and I kind of tell this story now and shows, like I was coming up I-35. I was in Fort Worth, and I was coming up 35W and getting over the overpass where that goes on to 30 West, and it's a pretty high overpass. Well, a storm was coming through just as I kind of got to the top, and I mean it got dark real fast and got pretty scary. And then, like, I noticed these leaves were blowing past me, and I thought, where are those leaves coming from? Number one. And then I thought, oh, why am I doing this for a living? And so, that was kind of the idea from it. The whole, it's a perpetual motion from when you get up to where you have to drive through hell and high water sometimes just to get to a show. So yeah, that was the thought process that led to that song.
Do you find yourself doing that like often? Like, man, why the heck am I still
All
doing
the
this?
time. Why
Yeah.
am I doing this? What am I doing? Yeah, I
Well,
do. Probably
well,
more than I should. But it's all right. I mean, it's self-examination is a good thing. You should, if somebody's gonna keep me in check, and if somebody's gonna keep me in check, it's not my wife. It might as well be me. So
that's true. That's true. And I do it too. I think we all go to work one day and we're like, man, what did I do?
yeah,
What did
yeah. I chose this. Like, this is what I chose.
this was I worked really hard on this. Like,
I thought this was a good idea. This was a good idea.
and of course, that is off your latest album, Bad Days, which I'm sure is going so well. I've watched your success over the past year, and it's been very inspiring because, once again, you've been one of my favorite songwriters for decades at this point. And getting to see other people open their eyes to that has been tremendous. And before the last time we spoke to you, you were getting ready to make your Opry debut. Now that has come and passed. How was that? I got to know all the details from that and afterwards.
So I've done it twice since we talked, actually,
That's right.
which is really cool. I mean, it's kind of everything that you would expect it to be, and nothing that you would expect it to be. But I mean, so I played October. I think it was October 22nd was my first appearance, and then February 24th was my second one. And so the first one, it was just me. I just held my head down. I did my thing. I tried. I mean, because everyone was crying around me, and you know what I mean. Like, it was a really emotionally celebratory time, and so in order for me to kind of have any sense of composure, I had to kind of well, just keep my composure. The second time was really nice. Like, that was the time when I walked out on stage, and I lifted my head and looked around and sort of saw the stage I was walking out into, and kind of let myself absorb it. It's really special. I mean, it really is. And, it's one of those things to where I can relax a little bit. You know what I mean? Because it's one of those things that you kind of can't, nobody's going to take that away from you. People can sell more tickets. People can, they can put more records out, but, I mean, you can't take, I played the Opry twice. You can't take that one from me. So
No.
it's nice. It's nice to be able to kind of, like I said, sort of just, relax a little bit, not have to feel like I have so much to prove.
I would imagine from any of the artists that I've spoken to that have gotten their spot on the stage, I've never quite heard anyone talk about that almost fear that goes into it as well, that that, oh my gosh, this has actually happened. So I'm glad that you touched on that, because you even took your entire family. You had the babies there
Oh yeah.
with you.
Oh yeah.
Like,
And they wouldn't miss an opportunity. And that's the cool thing about it. Like, it's there are times when you're there's shows like that your whole family wants to be at, and things backstage just kind of get wild. There's a lot of moving parts. There's things going on that people don't realize, and so it can be a difficult to sort of get everybody there in the same place and everybody happy. The Opry's, that's kind of their stock in trade. You know what I mean? Like they've really kind of got that. I think they're aware of what they represent, and their job and their purpose, to be in the Grand Ole Opry. So I mean, everybody's family is there, everybody. And so if my family's there, Ricky Skaggs' family is there. And so, you know what I mean? Which is really, really cool, because that's the best part about it, that everyone's welcome, and there's tight security, but they're super nice. And you know what I mean? It's just, they got, if anybody's got it down, the Opry's got it down.
that is
sure.
so cool to hear.
Yes,
that is
cool.
because I've never been. I've only visited Nashville once. I did make it to the Ryman, but I have not made it to the Grand Ole Opry. So I would love to take that opportunity sometime.
Yeah.
So besides Ricky, was there anybody that you got to share the stage with on either of those nights that you just went, oh my gosh?
I shook Bill Anderson's hand, and that was pretty special. Yeah, and I mean, the funny thing is, like, I've had run-ins with Bill Anderson in different times and places, and have no one's made me feel any way, but like when you're not in an environment like that, you kind of realize, well, I just need to lean up against the wall and get out of the man's way. But he was there on the Doc Cover show, and made a point to come up and introduce himself to me and stuff like that. So it was really, that's the best part about it. Those people, the stars that are on there, are super nice. Like that's kind of the place. You can tell that they understand their responsibility as an Opry member, or to sort of be welcoming. And if you want 40 pictures with Crystal Gayle, you can take them. She don't care. That's the one place you can do something like that. They're really accommodating, and I don't feel like you get that many places.
That is a really cool behind the scenes look, and another one of my all-time favorite songwriters. So very cool. I'm such a songwriter nerd. Like, trust me.
Good. I'm glad.
I fangirl over like plenty of bands, artists, stuff like that. But boy, when you get a good songwriter, it kind of amplifies that fangirlness.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a fan of songwriters too. I mean, it really is like, it's still kind of it's what I enjoy the most. It's what I'm not so far removed I can't remember what it is I want to be. You know what I mean? And so I'd much rather be a writer than I would. I like playing, it's fun, but writing I get the most fulfillment out of it.
Well, this summer you are performing all over America. I'm constantly checking your dates, because you're one of those artists on my list that I have never got to see perform live. So I'm constantly, yeah, I know. And I told you that last year when we talked too, still haven't made it. Gosh darn it. The one I was looking at in particular, and of course, I'm gone next weekend. I'm out of state. And you've got the Kylie Fry and Friends show. Like,
oh man, yeah. I love that one.
I know, and I love Texas Live. Like, it's such a cool venue, because we have the award show there every year, and I love Arlington in general. So I'm kind of sad I'm missing that, but I love to see your music spanning out. This is not past the Opry. You are actually selling tickets elsewhere, and that is very exciting for us Texas people that have loved you for so long. What does that mean for you?
Well, thank you. I'm glad to hear you say that. That's really cool. I mean, the cool thing is with Kylie, like, and these are things that I take for granted that people don't realize, that, like, I mean, I've written with Kylie a lot. I mean, over the past couple of years, she and I have probably written, probably, a good nearly probably five, six songs, that's a lot, you know.
Numerous of which went number one on the Texas country charts. Like those are
Right.
great
Yeah.
songs. Yes.
Thank you. Well, and you know, and that's the funny thing about this day and age. You know, the writers are the ones that, you know, when I, like me coming up, I read liner notes. You know, when I heard a song that was good, you know, when I heard the dance, I wanted to know who wrote it. You know what I mean? And
yes, I do that too.
Yeah, and so, you know, that was kind of how I sort of chose my path in life, and not to say that that's taken for granted these days, but at the same time, the writers aren't really showcased as much as they used to be, which is again totally fine, whatever. However, you know, it's you don't want to beat it over everybody's head that oh yeah, that song, I wrote that one, yeah, you know, and so that gets old, and so it's nice for the, you know, people to sort of say, yeah, Adam wrote this one, and so anyway, I say all that to say that you know, it's cool to be able to be in a writer's room with Kylie, but also to sort of, you know, to share the stage with her and Tyler. And I mean, you know, these are people that I know, you know what I mean? And so it's going to be a good opportunity, and we'll have a good time. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely go if you get the chance. I want y'all to check out that show, any Adam Hood shows. It's just, I'm jealous if you can go, but I want you to go and enjoy everything that you can. And I recently just saw Tyler Halverson. He was phenomenal, and
he's incredible. He's incredible.
Just puts a huge smile on my face. Just what a good kid.
Yeah, and he's, you know, he's West Texas, and you know, I mean, there's a, and you know, a brand is a tacky word to use, but at the same time, like, the guy's got a style,
yes,
and that's important, you know. And I mean, you know, you can listen to his music, and you can go watch him play, and you can kind of put yourself in Lubbock, you know what I mean? Like, that's, and you know, that's kind of what's, you know, I don't know, I mean, that's not necessary for artists, but at the same time, I really gravitate to the ones that do have a style. You know, I mean, you can be across the board if you want to. That's fine. I'm sure there's a song I'll like somewhere, but you know, ones, you know, artists that come out of the gate with something that's defined, that is a product of their influences musically, that's a product of their influences geographically. Like, that's you know, that's my bag. That's what I'm into.
I always gravitate back to this Dolly Parton quote that says, "Figure out who you are and do it on purpose."
Yeah.
And yeah, you love to see people actually do that. Become who you are, be proud of it, be proud of your product, you know. And yeah, he does a good job of that. You know, we've touched on songwriting a lot in this interview today, which I know I'm a nerd about it, but I don't think I've ever had the opportunity to ask you, has this ever, especially with how much you've been playing in Nashville lately, has this led to a publishing deal or anything like that? Or is this still just Adam Hood making friends writing songs?
Oh yeah, I've had two deals. I mean, I've been in and out of two deals. And so, I mean, now I'm in a place now to where, I mean, not to say I don't need a publishing deal. I would always entertain them. However, I mean, I've been doing it long enough to where I can kind of get in these rooms myself. You know what I mean? Like, there's, you know, I hate it sounds so arrogant saying these things, but like, you know, I've developed the people that need to know who I am well enough to where nobody has to sell me on them anymore. Now, the only setback is, you know, when it comes to, like, you know, okay, I've got this great song that I wrote with so-and-so that I think is great for Eric Church, you know, whatever. I mean, that's just, you know, hypothetical. The publishers are the ones that can kind of get that. They sort of facilitate that a lot better than most artists do. But also, you know, I mean, Nashville is a different beast now. You know, artists are, I mean, you know, I've written with Luke Combs a couple of times, and Luke is one of those guys that, like, he is adamant on not recording songs that he didn't have anything to do with the writing process.
Yes.
And that is because of the fact that, like, he is saying, you know, back to Eric Church. I mean, you know, he said, you know, Eric's my hero. That's what Church does. That's what Combs does, you know? Yeah. And so, you know, and so in doing that, it sort of, you know, he has Fulcher and Dan and Reed Isbell and guys like that. Like, that's the well he draws from. And so having that, and because guys like Luke do that, there's a, you know, there's relationships that are more necessary nowadays than it's more what artists you're writing with than it is, you know, what publishing company you're writing for.
Yes.
But I mean, again, like I said, you know, I mean, I've been at it enough in Nashville to where, you know, I don't know. I know people, and that if I wanted a deal and if we needed one, I got a couple of people that I could call, you know. But we're just, I mean, you know, I told my wife when I got out of my second deal, it was like 2 years. I said, you know, I really want to see if I can make a living at this. You know what I mean? Because like, you know, with publishing, you know, I think there's a pretty significant misconception that, you know, those songs are the property of the publishing company.
Yes,
you're right.
They're no longer yours.
You are, you know, you have a writer's share. You have the things that are, you know, due to you, you know, mechanicals as a songwriter, but as owning the publishing, you don't, that's not yours anymore. And so, you know, I have friends that sell a lot fewer records that make a lot more money. And, you know, I have people that have, you know, I mean, well, I mean, I've got platinum albums on the wall and still have, you know what I mean? And I'm still not paid up on some things. And so, you know, you know, my wife and I just decided, let's see if is this lucrative? Is this a real job? Is this the kind of job that you can make money at? And if it's not, then I'm going to go on the road. If it is, then I'm not going to go on the road anymore. I'm going to do this for a living. You know,
I'm going to hang at home with my family.
That's right. Exactly. And there'll always be a balance, you know, but, you know, I'm just you know, Daryl Scott's a big hero of mine. And, you know, he's one of those guys that writes a lot and you don't see him play all that much, you know, and so I admire that. I mean, you know, Jason Isbell does like 81 shows a year. That's not a whole lot, you know, and probably, I mean, I think probably 20 of those are at the Ryman.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, everybody's different. But if there's something I can learn, you know, I want to learn it. And so that's kind of where I am with publishing these days, you know, and I just want to write, you know, I enjoy writing.
I do travel out of, I use that as an example because I travel out of state a lot because I'm not originally from Texas. And I get a lot of questions from people. Why do you work in Texas country? Why did you move your life? Would you ever consider going anywhere else? And the answer is always no. And what they don't understand on this side of the desk is that all of the country music that they're consuming are coming from my guys, from my people that write those. Like, they don't understand where the music actually comes from. And I always tell them, well, I meet them while they're in college playing fraternity parties. And then they go on to write those hits with Luke Combs, with Eric Church, for Blake Shelton, for anybody that they're admiring at that moment. And they don't understand the small knit community that music actually comes from. And it's almost overwhelming and underwhelming at the exact same time to know that information.
Right. It is. I know. It's kind of behind the curtain, you know. But I don't know. It's always the stuff that even after, I mean, I don't know. I've been at this a long time, and it's still pretty fun to me, and still, you know, it's a challenging chess game, and I enjoy it. And I like I said, you know, I like making words rhyme. I think this the whole process of that, you know, and I don't know. I get a lot of pleasure out of watching songs come alive, you know.
Absolutely. You can tell in your writing, and
I'm glad.
And you haven't slowed down at all either. You said you've been working on new music. We should be expecting more and more as the months move on, huh?
Yeah. So, I mean, we're kind of starting to tease this. We re-recorded my Different Groove album, which was it was pretty much my first full length album. And so, you know, we kind of came up on an anniversary, and you know, just some things kind of fortuitously happened, and we said, okay, it's time to put a fresh coat of paint on this. And so I went to the finishing school in Austin, which is where Gordy Quist and the guys at band The Heathens guys record. And you know, I just said here, you know, what do you think about making this record with me? And they said yes. And so we're putting it out now. It'll be out the album itself will be out in September, and then Brent and I go back in the studio in August. So yeah, and that'll be new material that we're working on too. So yeah, got a lot of stuff happening. Thank the Lord.
Yeah. I'm thankful on this end as well. And I'm so thankful that you were able to come join us on Maverick today. So everybody, please always follow Adam Hood. Lots of shows coming up, lots of new music coming up. Always show your love for this man, because trust me, he is the reason why we have a lot of the incredible music that we get to enjoy. So always thanking you from the bottom of my heart, Adam.
Well, likewise, the feeling is mutual. Thank you so much, of course. I really appreciate it very much. It's great to talk to you as always.